Hey everyone, happy Saturday. All right, as you all come in, go ahead and do your usual checklist, which is go ahead and tap the live, share it out to the people that would love to join this conversation. Also, reshare it and also repost and add it to your stories, and that does help with the algorithm. Give me 1 second as I adjust my background. How are you doing, Greg?
I'm good. How are you, Jen?
I'm doing good. I
Look at
am doing good. Give me 1 second to get adjusted here. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Hope everybody is doing well. As I said before, go ahead and do your checklist. Oh, yeah, send out your daily heart means as well. I forgot that one important point. Do that. Also, contribute to, if you would like to, contribute to our goal at the top of in the middle part of our screen. That does help with the algorithm as well. Thank you all for coming in as we wait for the candidate to come in. Let us know how you're doing right now. How's everybody feeling about today in the state of this country? Just share me your thoughts just to kind of get a feel of how everybody is feeling right now before we start. Oh, and by the way, give us a thumbs up or a thumbs down if you feel like our audio is good or not. That way we can make sure we sound great before we start. And thank you all for the gifts. Thank you all. Okay, let me go ahead and send out my daily harmony. And thank you all for coming in. We do have a interesting candidate that will be here in a few minutes. So we're just waiting on them to show up. This candidate definitely has a heavy background growing up in the military. Not necessarily being a veteran, but a veteran kid and a spouse to a military veteran as well. So this is something that will be interesting to get to know with this candidate. Is there anybody from Florida in the house? Because this candidate is from Florida, so it will be great to hear from any Floridians that would love to come up and ask Britt a question before we get started. Hello, Rodney. Welcome. Good to see you again. And
interesting.
hopefully, what did you say?
It's an interesting point.
Oh, yes, absolutely. Yes, yes, yes. So yes, that is some of the highlights from the candidate. She is a military kid and a spouse to a military veteran. So this would be interesting. Welcome, Emmanuel. Good to see you. I see some more people coming in. Thank you, higher levels, for go ahead and reposting. Hello, Nookie. Also, make sure you go ahead and get the likes up. Right now, we have about a little over 700. Let's see if we can get at least 5K before we get started. That'll be great. Thank you for contributing, Kalita. Thank you for reposting, Misty. That definitely will help us get the live out to the algorithm. Hi, Britt. So we're going to go ahead and request you up. Thank you for coming in. All you have to do is just accept my request, and then we'll put you on the big screen, Britt. Do you know how can I join through Oh, I forgot to mention that it will be hard for you to join if you're on a computer. It's best for you to join on a phone to do this town hall. It will not work if you're on a computer, if that's what you were referencing, Britt. So if you would like to leave out and then join into this live on your cell phone, that would be great. And then we did send you a background, so be sure to save that. That way you can use that background for your green screen whenever you come up on camera. Oh yes, you can use a phone or a tablet. Yes, it don't have to be a mobile device. It can be a tablet as well. Okay, so right now we have about 1.4K. Go ahead and continue to get those likes up. You all are doing great. Right now we have about 22 shares. Let's see if we can get at least 45 shares in the next 5 minutes. And those shares do count as, if you can copy the link, that count as a share. A repost counts as a share, I think. And also just sharing it to individuals or your groups that you're in on TikTok, that helps as well. So go ahead and get those shares up. And then host, go ahead and reset the gift goal as well, since we just reached the initial gift goal that we started. Okay, and as we wait for Britt to come back, how is everybody feeling today? Has anybody been doing their usual things that they don't get done during the week, like just cleaning the house or just running errands? I know for me, I had to run a few errands before I came here, so some of the things that I'm not able to do during the week. What about you, Greg?
Running errands, man. I had a lot of meetings with some people today. Some getting some fiscal meetings together and getting ready for after this, watching the game with a couple friends. I'm gonna be a little late to that, but they'll be all right. Um,
Okay.
but yeah, it's just estate planning, all the stuff that comes with it.
Okay. Well, Emmanuel said roll tide, so I suppose he's watching the Alabama football game. Um, Me living in the state of Alabama, I'm a bit neutral because I didn't go to neither Alabama nor Auburn, so I'm a bit neutral. But I do live close to roll tide, so if I were
Emmanuel,
to choose, it would be Alabama.
Emmanuel will be floating, Jazz. He an LSU fan, bet for Texas, lost that one. It's all right. I'll let you breathe off of this one, Emmanuel, because Roll Tide ain't gonna get nowhere today.
Well, I'm a bit biased. Like my alma mater is Clemson, so
Understood.
but I'm still neutral to both roll tide and war eagle. So I root for both. They're still building their programs with the new coach with Roll Tide, and then also their new coach in with Auburn. They're both building.
And then game just changing. The
Mm.
portal done changed everything.
Oh
But
yeah,
now,
yeah.
now that we got uh,
The transfer portal and the NILs definitely.
NIL playoffs, everything is changed now.
Now, speaking of NILs regarding policies, that is a good segue because there are a few former athletes and former coaches are lobbying certain members of Congress to put forth a bill to regulate NILs. Have you heard more about that recently?
I have heard about it, and I haven't
Okay.
got depth looking into it though. But I have heard that it's a ticket item, or they want it to be a ticket item.
Yeah. So that'll be interesting to hear about. Hi, Brett. We're going to go ahead and put you on the big screen. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Hello, hello.
Okay. We'll just.
There we go. Sorry, I am really bad at this. At TikTok Live. I'm still getting used to all this. Okay, hold on.
Mhm.
Try and move everything around. I can't. How do I? Sorry.
Can you see us? Okay. Can you see
I
us?
can see you.
Okay. You
Um,
can hear us. Hear
yeah,
everybody
I
pretty
can hear
good.
you. I can hear you.
Okay, perfect. I can hear you
Okay.
too.
All right. Let us know whenever you're ready, and we'll go ahead and get started.
Yeah, I'm ready. Whenever you will.
All right. All right. Hi, everyone. Welcome to our Vote Counts Town Hall. I am your moderator, JazB Flower. And also above me, we have Greg, who is also our moderator. Hi, Greg. How are you?
I'm doing all right today. Looking forward to this. Looking forward to the answers.
Good, good. All right, so for those who are not familiar with our vote counts, we are also known as OVC. We are a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we are building a stronger democracy. So, with one informed vote at a time, please join us because your vote is your power. So today we're joined by Brit Robinson, who is running for Florida's 4th Congressional District in Congress. We'll be taking her questions, learning about her background and her vision for the district. So, Brit, just for the format of the town hall, after each set of topic questions, we will allow one person to come up and ask you a question. If we don't have one in the queue to come up, we will just pick a question out of the chat for us to ask. And pretty much we'll just repeat the process after that. Okay. All right. So we've learned that you grew up in a military family, but for those who are meeting you for the first time, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running for Congress?
Hi everyone. My name's Brit Robinson, and yeah, I came from a military family, or I do come from a military family. Mostly Marines, Navy. You know, it's a bunch of very stubborn people, but service to this country, like through growing up in a military family, service to this country is really important to me. Now I'm a military spouse. I'm married to someone who is an active duty Navy pilot. And I basically how I got into all of this was that, sorry, let me make a first point is I got into this race because I was seeing, I was connecting the dots on the destruction that this administration wanted to enact on the American people, but also the world. And that's this administration, Trump and his cabinet, and then also all of the financial backers behind his campaign. These are all of mostly these are the tech billionaires who, at the same time as owning our means of communication, social media, news, they also own surveillance tech companies that have contracts through our government and want to continue building out a surveillance state so that they can enact their vision for the world, which frankly is a vision based in Christian white nationalist racism, bigotry, homophobia. They want to eliminate or suppress anyone's voices who do not support their agenda. I couldn't sit back and watch that happen because I knew and I know that those effects are going to, they're going, my friends and my family who don't have the same privileges that I do in life, they're going to be affected far sooner than I ever will be. And I thought it was, that we all have to be involved in one, fighting this regime, and two, building a better future for all of us. And that's where I thought that my background lends itself well to me being able to be that representative.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Can I just make one more point really quick?
Okay. Go ahead. Sorry.
And sorry, I will do, I am working on keeping my answers brief. But when I was going into high school, my mom got sick and she couldn't afford health insurance because this was before the ACA was passed. So she couldn't afford health insurance with her pre-existing conditions. And so when she got sick, we lost everything, had to get on food assistance, we lost our home, and I had to move across the country to live with family and friends to graduate high school. So I'm able to speak to a lot of the circumstances that people have felt and are feeling and will definitely feel come January if they don't extend the ACA, the health insurance premium credits. And anyway, I, I think that we need more representatives who understand the struggles that people are experiencing, instead of us having this like top down system of representation where the wealthiest people pick and choose who they want to represent them and their business interests instead of for the people. So that's why I'm running. A little bit of a long answer, sorry. But the system is complex, and I don't. There's a lot of work that's going to be needed to fix it, and that's what I'm here to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So, what you just mentioned that you lived as a military kid, you also a military spouse, and now you're running to be a congressional. You're now running as a congressional candidate. What's
Yep.
one moment from that journey that shaped you today?
As a like from a military
Oh,
family,
yes.
specific.
Let me rephrase it.
Okay.
What moment from just your background of being a military kid, now a military spouse, and you're running for Congress?
Yeah.
From those journeys, can you tell me? Can you something you can pick out that has shaped who you are as of today?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the easiest or the big reason or the big experience is just having a robust safety net that you get from being a military dependent. Being able to, as a kid, even though my parents were divorced, I had free health insurance through my dad, and we never had to worry about having health coverage. And I have the same thing right now with being a military spouse. And that, and then having being able to go to school for free through my dad's GI benefits. Yes, like he had his service and that was earned, and then passed it down to me. But the point is that I was able to make it through the really hard times with my mom because I had health insurance that covered my medical issues that stemmed from, like, as a result of my mom being sick. And then being able to envision a future for myself in high school that, okay, you know, just a few more years of this, and then I'm going to be able to go to college, wherever that may be. And so many people don't have that opportunity. I can't tell you where exactly I would be, or what the situation would have been if I didn't have those safety nets, but I can pretty much guarantee you I wouldn't be sitting here running for Congress.
Okay.
Having those safety net or having those safety nets was what allowed me, to get myself out of the difficult times that, stemmed from my mom having an illness that she had no control over.
And thank you for sharing that. That is a awesome journey. I know a lot of people can resonate who were military kids moving constantly and just being married to a military spouse who things that come up and it's out of their control. So thank you for sharing that. All right, so we're going to go ahead and roll it into talking about economic development. So my first question to you is regarding this topic. In parts of Jacksonville and across District 4, we know that older commercial corridors are filled with vacant storefronts and struggling small businesses. And with that being said, many residents say that those empty spaces can tend to hurt neighborhood pride and limit job opportunities. How
Mm-hmm.
would policies? Could you tell me how policies? Tell me the type of policies that you would champion to revitalize struggling commercial areas that will attract and support local entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think a couple of things. One, we have an issue with having vacant buildings, whether that's commercial or housing, and we have investors, specifically in this case. I'll focus on like corporate um, investment companies uh, or private equity groups that are buying up lots of properties. I don't believe that that's right, um, especially for housing, but like you said, also for small businesses who aren't able to have a physical location outside of their home because they can't afford, thousands of dollars of an overpriced, like, lot or building. So in both of those circumstances, for housing and for commercial properties, I think that we need to have. I would be interested in looking at some sort of added tax for properties that are left unused for a certain amount of time. we can determine how long that is, whether that's a few years or however, that goes. But forcing investors to put things on the market um, at a reasonable price, while at least in the meantime, like if they have bought a property and they're planning on developing it, fine. But like in that middle time, let's figure out how we can use what we have to benefit the people who want to be a part of our economy and succeed for themselves and for their employees or however whoever else it touches. So okay, so some sort of increased tax on the time that properties are left unused. And then also the number of properties. That would be a little more specific towards housing, at least that I'm aware of. I would want to specifically be targeting that towards housing. That if an investor as outside of okay, sorry. If we did, I don't think that we should have corporate interests and private equity in our housing. I don't think that that should be um, I don't think that that is right, that when we have millions of people in this country who are struggling to get into housing, that we have also millions of empty units and people can't access them. Then for housing, access them. Sorry, I had some other point.
I know you're fine,
I
but we'll get
will
into those
skip
questions
four
about
because
housing.
it's yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Hmm.
we can do a lot of things to get people forward
Hmm.
and into properties that benefit people. Like it really shouldn't be this like it's not complicated, and it's for the financial benefit of people and the communities to use empty lots or empty commercial spaces.
Okay. All right. Thank you for that. And so, the next question is, with the naval station Mayport in your district and having a large military population in Jacksonville, many transition service members struggle to find stable employment that matches their skill set.
Mhm.
How would you work to strengthen the local economy by improving employment pathways, such as training and also for small business support and for military families?
Yeah. So I don't have Mayport, but I have Jackson, like
Okay.
NIS Jax, and that's CD5 is Mayport. But they, but we do have an issue with unemployment. Um, we have an issue like with veterans, young people. Uh, in Duval, we have um, a lot of educators having like getting out of education. Anyway, we know people are looking for jobs all over the place. I like, so we know there are certain programs that succeed as far as training veterans to enter, to be like transition programs to teach them skills for them to succeed in some other field outside of their experience while they were in the military. I think that that is a great example that we can expand. Like we should be finding these programs that we see succeed and expanding them. Like we don't need to reinvent the wheel. Um, that's one. Two, it's we have a lot that needs to be done in this country to develop infrastructure um, for social programs. Like there's the the future that we want to build where people have access to a career that isn't stagnated by low, low minimum wage. raising the minimum wage would be, that's, I think, essential. I think the current estimation is that we really should be at like $80 an hour for someone to support their family. So that's, need to raise the minimum wage. I've said that I think it needs to be at least $30.
Okay.
And then, no, go ahead. It's fine.
Okay, no problem. So we're gonna go and allow anyone who would like to come up and ask you a question regarding this topic about economic development and jobs.
Sure.
So I'm gonna give it a few minutes. In the meantime, I did have a follow-up question with you regarding the economic portion. Since you live, since the district comprises of mostly Jackson, how does that also encompasses the effects on tariffs as well regarding the economic portion? Could you expound upon that?
Yeah. I mean, the so we're talking about just the tariffs that Trump is in, how
Yeah,
that
just
affect on businesses?
yes, correct.
Yeah.
Specifically in
So
District 4, yes.
yeah, we have a big port. We have a couple ports, but Jacksonville has is is one of like the bigger import areas on in in Florida. So yes, absolutely, like that hits businesses that are in Jacksonville. Though all those companies that that I mean, we should really say this is an issue. Like these import costs are something that are affecting Americans everywhere. Um, I don't know if that they would be affecting Jacksonville any more um, than nationally. Um, but anyway, the tariffs
Okay.
are raising our prices for like for everybody. So yeah, it's consumer goods are being the cost of increased tariffs is trickling down to the consumer, and we are paying more for everything.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. So it looks like we don't
Yeah.
have anyone in the queue or any questions in the chat. So I'll go ahead and roll it over to Greg to talk about the next topic. Greg?
All right, and I'm gonna let you know I'm a veteran myself, and I
Yeah.
absolutely appreciate a lot of your answers. You're doing great with creative
Oh,
answers.
thanks.
Stuff that
Okay,
I haven't
great.
stuff that I have not heard before. I love it.
Oh,
We're
good.
gonna move on to veteran affairs and the
Yeah.
healthcare. This is obviously personal to me, and I actually work in a VA also, so I work with a lot of veterans. So this is an interesting topic to me.
Yeah.
So, the veteran population is experiencing long wait times and delayed care at some VA clinics. How would you ensure veterans in District 4 get faster, higher quality VA care, especially for mental health, women's health, and preventative services?
Well, I can tell you Republicans aren't going to like the answer, but it's funding. We know that like the VA is underfunded. The VA has been screaming about being underfunded forever. The answer is funding. The answer is funding, so we can have more doctors and medical professionals who can provide that care and lower that wait time. I'm sure that there is some level of bureaucracy that could be addressed as far as like processes to streamline. That's something that I'm trying to learn more about from veterans who have experienced the system, and then the people who are on the giving end um, and their experiences, so that we can try and find those pathways to delivering service to veterans that you deserve. It's if you have I should say everyone deserves medical care. I believe it's a human right, but veterans who have signed up to give their life and dedicate, have this service to our country. You made, that was your agreement with the government, was that they were going to take care of you. And we're not upholding our end of that bargain as, a country. And I think that's shameful, and we need to address it. So funding, I think, is the number one. And then for women, we know this administration is targeting women and targeting the programs that are used for women to, we can say people, but specifically women, to report the abuse that has been done to them, either in service or after, like through their medical care. And so we need to reinstate those programs so that people can, uh, they can report what has happened to them. And yeah, I've heard a lot of stories recently, um, like I said, as I'm learning about the lack of attention to women's health care, in the VA, and how that is leading to permanent, disability. And that's something I'm also continuing to look into.
Thank you. Thank you. The next question may feel like it rolls right off of that one, but if you have any other additions, feel free to, because you're hitting every cylinder as far as I'm concerned.
Okay,
Uh,
great.
we also know that veteran and military families experience insurance gaps to cover
Hmm.
dental, mental health, and transitional care,
Hmm.
especially for newly separated service members and those dealing with homelessness or substance abuse specifically, because they're not always out on honorable conditions when they're in those situations.
Yeah.
What would you do to expand and improve VA and community support services for veterans and military families in District 4, particularly in areas like mental health, dental care, and transition assistance, with a strong caveat on the transition assistance?
Yeah. Yeah, like talked about, is people going through people getting out, potentially because of substance issues or anything, like maybe through their trauma while they're in service, and then not being able to get their benefits as they're getting out, and then that affects them for the rest of their life. We need to have, and I say this, um, please somebody correct me if this already exists, but programs that target people, who are in that situation, um, to sorry, I can't think of the word. Anyway, to reach them prior to them getting out, or like if they're being separated because of some sort of abuse, some sort of, like substance issue, that they are automatically enrolled in a program that helps them find, uh, like treatment programs and longer term treatment programs, because I know some of them are short, at least that I'm aware of. They aren't always long enough for people to get the proper treatment or learn the tools necessary for, their recovery to be long lasting. So that's one. We also talked about, the gaps for families just in general as they're getting out. Um, I think that the time that people are covered for healthcare after they separate, that needs to be longer. Um, Even for not military people, like just across the board, it's taking people more than a year to find a job, if they find one at all. I know for myself, it took a year for me applying every day like it was a full-time job. Um, creating, like all different resumes for every position that you apply for, and most of those were federal positions. It took me an entire year to be able to get a position with the VA. And that's where I should be working right now, is working for the VA outside of Chicago for the clinics there. But when Trump took office, he put in a hiring freeze and rescinded my offer. So that's an example of why veterans are not getting the care that they deserve, because there are people like me who are wanting to be a part of that system and deliver the care, like find the issues and deliver the care that veterans deserve. And yet, either through funding cuts or through hiring freezes, we're being cut out so that it leaves that gap, and your veterans like you are left with care that isn't appropriate. So,
I definitely appreciate that response. And as Jazz did before, we're going to allow for anybody in the audience who has a question to either request up or ask a question in the chat so we can ask. And if they don't, I do have a additional question, just piggybacking off of some of the stuff you said that I like to hear.
go for it.
I'll give them a minute first before
Okay.
I run it.
All right, looks like we don't have anyone in the queue.
Okay. Since there's no one in the queue, since there's nothing you could, any of us genuinely can do to reach the how the military deals with this situation, it would have to be at a local level. What do you think could be done as a mediation for those types of situations where the veteran dealt with trauma, didn't handle that trauma well, the military is essentially discarding them, um, and there's nothing we can do at a federal level to change that? What type of
Yeah.
media program would you have available or like to have available for them in District 4 specifically?
Yeah. I think we need to try and build more community support. And that's outside of veterans also, like that's just across the board. We've become very isolated from our neighbors, from um, just the people in our communities, to where we're not building support networks. And those are the support networks that may recognize, like, hey, this person looks like my neighbor, whoever is, looks like maybe they're struggling a little more. Maybe we should, check in on them. Those are the little moments that someone might be able to catch the struggling person, like right at the moment that they need someone to see them. And and sometimes it's just being seen, um, when you're in a dark place or anything. Just being seen is sometimes enough. Maybe not enough, but it does help. Um, it's I just When we have this system that's in place where we're so disconnected from each other, and year by year we're seeing increasing rates of depression, anxiety, um, long-term medical conditions. Lowering people's, or building community and care, mutual aid for the people that we're living with or working with, those are essential. And it's something that I'm really trying to focus on in when I'm planning out how my campaign is going to look and how I'm going to deliver for how I want to deliver for this district. I want to try and be a part of encouraging that growth of those communities, or maybe not the communities, but sorry, I'm trying to think of like the word, but like the intermeshing or like of people, the care networks where people want to actually be involved in their communities, and see that it's very rewarding, to be able to give back to your community and your neighbors. So anyway, that was kind of a long answer, but I think we have a really big problem right now in our nation with, that we're all really struggling to survive right now with meeting our basic needs. And I think one of the ways that we fix that is caring about each other.
So the reintegration of cooperation, I actually like that. I understand.
Yeah. And sorry, that was a little rambly. I'm still kind of trying to figure out the verbiage of some of these things, but and a lot of these thoughts develop. As I have conversations with people, like you or people in my district, is I'm here to I want this to be, as in like me running, and how I approach this campaign is I have my beliefs about how I think things could be improved, but like I want to hear what your experiences are. I don't know your life, and if you have ideas about how something could work better, like I'm here to listen and try and find those solutions. And I think that that's, at least in this district, we don't have that with this representative. So yeah, just getting back to having our representatives like actually give a shit about us and like want to listen is, we're not asking for much. Having real conversations with people, I think is important. But yeah, anyway.
Perfect. In the interest of that, I think we have a question here from a bunch of vets. How you doing, bunch of vets? How you doing today, first and foremost?
Good afternoon, everybody. I've been sitting here listening to everyone, and it's encouraging. I do have to say, I'm not in your district. I'm not in Florida. out of the state of Kentucky, and I am a veteran. 26 years that I served. Like I said, I really appreciate your enthusiasm in trying to help our veterans, our veteran brothers and sisters. That is my main priority as well. I'm going to start off. Y'all can delete me or whatever else is perfectly fine.
I think we lost you for a second there.
Bunch of vets, you're muted.
I'm not sure what happened. See
I
if we
think he
can.
accidentally muted himself.
Bunch of vets, bunch of vets. We're gonna. I'm sending you an invite to unmute.
I think I had my phone. I had a call.
Mm.
I'm sorry. I am so sorry. My phone. I had a call coming in, and I was sitting there wondering why in the hell am I getting this for? But like I
No
was saying,
worries.
I know y'all didn't hear me what I was saying, but
Try again.
I am a 26-year veteran. I do appreciate your enthusiasm on wanting to help our brothers and sisters of arms.
Yep.
There again, I don't care if you're a left or if you're a right. I'm here for my brothers and sisters first. I've seen so many people, and I have experienced it myself, to where I almost committed suicide myself.
Mhm.
And I don't know if you heard or not, I'm not in your district. I'm not even in the state of Florida. I'm in Kentucky. But the same thing, I always heard these same, I don't want to say anything bad about politicians, but
Mhm.
I've heard all this great things we're going to do to try to help our veterans from both sides, and
Yep.
nothing gets done. I've been out since 2016.
Yep.
I have experienced bad health benefits from the VA, like you would not believe, from not false, but wrong medication, which almost killed me one time, and everything else. But like I said, I love your enthusiasm and wanting to help, but I hear the same stuff all the single time from both sides. I'm here for America first and my brothers and sisters. That's all I am here for.
Yeah.
I have helped as many veterans as I possibly could to seek the help they needed, or if they need. But what's going to make a difference from your area when you standing up and fighting for our brothers and sisters compared to the person before you?
Honestly, I don't know like if I have a great answer to like how to prove that other than me spending time with veterans and trying to advocate, like learning from you guys and building that trust over time. Um, hopefully, I can like, we can build that relationship and have trust that I can deliver and I can prove that. I think I'm it it really saddens me hearing the extent of people's stories, being veterans and struggling with medical care. I mean, I always like knew about the um I don't stereotype isn't quite the right word, but anyway,
I get it. I get it.
that like the VA sucks, right? And that like you guys can't get care. But I I mean, I didn't know the extent of that. Um it's not something that honestly was much of a conversation in my family, what like the level of or the quality of care hasn't really been a conversation. Um my grandfather passed a few years ago, and
My condolences.
thank you. And but my dad's a Marine also, and he never goes to the doctor. So it's like I just haven't heard from, at least in my family, like I don't know about any of that stuff. And my husband's, he's active duty, so we don't deal with the VA yet. Um,
Right. Well, that's a great
and
thing. I'm sorry to interrupt. Sorry.
no,
Continue. I don't want to be
I
rude.
was I was just gonna say it's that hearing more of these stories, expands my knowledge about how the system is broken, and hopefully over the next clock 8-ish months before the primary, I can, spend time and put effort into listening to you guys and actually trying to build those plans prior to going into office, at least having outlines of legislation that we want to see passed. Um, and, and, you know, talking about these things more. Anyway, sorry, I don't have,
You're perfectly
I
fine.
don't know that I have a better answer than just trying to build trust with you guys.
Perfect. That's
Okay.
the main thing.
Okay.
I definitely
Well, thank you for your question, and
Go
thank you
ahead.
for asking Britt a question.
Can I continue a little bit? Stay on?
Just quickly because we are kind of pressed for time,
I
so if you
understand.
could be
But
quick.
I just want to mention that not all VA hospitals are bad,
Yeah.
for sure. But the thing that drives me crazy is they are not following the same standards throughout every state or every hospital.
Hmm.
When I got out, 2016, went back to Arizona because that's where my family was, Phoenix, Arizona. That VA really sucked. They
Hmm.
didn't keep up to their standards. And this is what we need representatives like yourself fighting for, to make sure that each of these hospitals continue on with the same standard no matter what. I moved back to my home state in Kentucky. This VA hospital has been fabulous. I
That's
had
good.
I had a major surgery last year. I had a full prostatectomy, which it irritated me because all these years they kept saying, "Oh, my prostate's inflamed. It's inflamed. It's inflamed." Well, it got
Yeah.
to the point where it almost actually killed me there because it almost erupted. My bladder was being blocked.
Mm.
So that was,
Yeah.
but it's good to hear, representatives like yourself wanting to keep fighting, fighting, fighting. And like I said earlier, I don't care if you're left, right, whatever else. I'm just caring about my brothers and sisters.
Yeah.
But they have to, even with, the secretary we have now, he has to make sure that every VA keeps the same standards across the board.
Hmm.
That is the main thing. That's my biggest issue, is that everybody is not receiving the same type of treatment or care, or have too many daggone red tapes we have to go through. But I appreciate there, Miss Flower, for letting me stay on there a little bit.
No problem. Thank you for asking Miss Britt a question.
Yes, ma'am.
But be sure to stick around
I'm
and we
still
have some more
listening.
questions for.
I'm still going to listen to
Okay.
y'all. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
I finally get on something that some people will listen to me.
Well, you can
No
reach out to
problem.
me too.
Your service, buddy.
No problem. Oh, go ahead. Greg.
I was just saying
Did you
thank
want to say something?
I was
Me
just
know.
telling a bunch of vets, thank you for your service, battle.
Yes, sir. You too, bro.
All right. Thank you. All right. So we'll. I wasn't sure, Greg. Did you have anything else that you want to ask Britt regarding veterans before we roll over to the next topic?
No, that was she answered perfectly. I do again appreciate you taking the time, because I know a lot of this is new, and I just appreciate you willing to brainstorm on it.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about education. So we understand that parents in District 4 frequently report long wait lists for quality pre-K programs, and they tend to lack affordable early options, such as, especially for those who live in lower income neighborhoods. How would you expand access to affordable, high quality pre-K in neighborhoods where families face long wait lists?
We need to pay teachers more. We I mean, we have an issue with quantity of educators, like, existing, but what we really have is a lot of educators being burnt out either through overwork or being underpaid. It's like, and again, Republicans aren't may not, or, people who tout fiscal responsibility are gonna be a little upset about the answer, that it's we need to put more money into it, but we do. Um, Children are the investment into our future, and if we are not, like, it just doesn't make sense to me, that we aren't putting giving everything we can into like, to invest into the futures of our kids. So yeah, short answer, we pay teachers more. We make sure that they, and some of this is going to fall under states, um, and federal won't have as much ability to control, what states do, or what happens in education.
But would you,
But teachers,
just quick,
sorry, go ahead.
no, just quickly, just to kind of emphasize a little more, would you advocate for universal pre-K on the
Oh
federal
yeah,
level? Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think we need, one of my points, like, in my plan, is fully funding public education. And so in that uh is paying teachers, that we need to pay teachers a competitive salary. We need to have free universal pre-K, and we need to have some sort of free higher education, like, if that's community college, if that's
Hmm.
just the public colleges, Like if you want a higher education, either 2 or 4 year program, like there needs to be an option for that. You can still go to like if you have the money or you can get a scholarship, you can go to a different place. But if people want education, we need to have that as an option.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that. So that's it regarding asking a question about education. But I do want to get to kind of test your pulse a little bit just to see how quickly you can think on your
Okay.
feet. So I do have a set of rapid fire questions for you. These are more
Okay.
political in nature. So
Okay.
let me know you're ready because I'll be shooting them out pretty
All
fast.
right. Go for it.
Okay. All right. Should community college be free nationwide?
Yes.
All right. What's one corporate loophole you think Congress must close?
Uh, that we corporations should not be able to donate unlimited or at all to our elections. We need to get
Okay.
corporate money out of our elections.
All right. Should the federal minimum wage be? What should the federal minimum wage be in 2025?
Minimum $30 an hour.
Okay. Yes or no? Should corporate landlords face federal regulation?
Yes.
Okay. What's the first step Congress should take towards Medicare for all?
One is stop cutting funding would be a great start. I'll keep it there. Stop fucking cutting the programs that people are like relying on. And especially our most vulnerable, like our poorest and our most vulnerable people, are relying on government healthcare, and
Mm-hmm.
they're pulling the plug essentially on Americans.
Okay. And what's one broken part of the VA system you would fix immediately?
Paying, we need to increase the budget so that we
Okay.
can have, uh, better quality, and better quality healthcare professionals and more of them.
Okay. And we just talked about the corporate loophole when it comes to donating candidates. So lastly, my question to that is, do you support overturning Citizens United?
Yes. Yep.
All right.
Yeah.
So that wraps up the political portion of my rapid fire. So I'll go ahead and hand it over to Greg to talk about public safety. Greg?
So in the public safety realm, we're gonna focus more on immigration, but legal immigrants. So we know that District 4 is home to many immigrant families.
Mhm.
They face long delays in receiving work permits. And because they're legally barred from working while they wait, some of them end up struggling to provide for their families despite wanting to contribute to the local economy. So, what actions would you take to speed up work permits and support immigrant families who want to participate legally in the workforce but are just barred by the bureaucracy of the system, essentially, the backlog?
I mean, we we need to have more people that process them or find ways that we can automate, the process. I'm not a big fan of AI, especially with its effects uh, on people and our environment. But this is like things like this where it's a process that we can automate or have some level of automation to help filter through or process backlogs. This would be a great option or a great time to be using AI, like to make our lives better, and the people who are coming here to have a better life themselves, and like you said, be participate in our economy here. So yeah, it's frustrating having all these. We have so many systems that I'm as military, the uh, a lot of our government systems are ancient, um, and I think civilians don't quite know or understand just the level of like outdated tech that people are using in government. But this would be a great way. This is one of the examples of being a great way to automate.
So a caveat to that. So say for
Yeah.
instance, um, you could in the interim, like while you're getting, say you're elected and you're working on getting more people,
Yeah.
either automated, either people who can deal with that and get it automated, or people who can process. In the meantime,
Yeah.
how would you help families who are still just stuck in limbo while you're waiting for that process to finish out? You understand?
Yes. I honestly, I don't have, I don't know. Our government likes to do a lot of like sit around and waiting for things, and immigrants are, they get more of that than most Americans experience in our government, of like having these crazy wait times. I think it would be, I don't know, again, I don't know how we process it, but in general, having systems that put pressure on our government to make these changes. Um, Basically, in my head is having something that requires us to, and I don't know if this would actually pass, and so I think this gets back into your like, doesn't really help me answer your question about like timelines of things, but force or making the government give money to people that they don't want to give money to tends to be a really great motivator of change. So if people don't want um, us to be paying people because we have a slow system, then like maybe I don't know. I don't know about that. Sorry, that was just a little tangent in my head. Um,
It's okay if you need
I
a
don't
second.
know. I guess I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's the answer, is I don't know. I don't know. Um, I guess I've thought of this in like in systemic changes, but I don't know how we make that possible. I don't know. I don't know how we make that possible now. So I'll add that to my list of learning. Is there something that you guys have
No,
heard or anything that there's ways that we could do that? Because I think that that's a great example of one of the, I mean, we have so many, but one of the ways that like we need systemic change, but how do we help people in the meantime
I
on the
I
federal level?
I don't have an answer on the federal level. More so on the local level, if you have
Yeah.
the forthwith to do it, giving businesses incentives for helping people, for
Yeah.
helping, because forcing the federal government, I really don't have an answer for that. And I'm gonna be just as
Yeah.
honest. I don't know, but I appreciate honesty in those situations. At a local level, though, incentivizing people to help, just because in America we're not as communal as most other places, so you have to give people some sort of incentive.
Yeah. I think one way that our electeds in general can help is like in these times, maybe this is my answer. Maybe this will be my answer, is when we're stuck in this limbo time of we're trying to make change, but government is slow. There are programs, there are organizations that are trying to fill the gap, and they're doing the hard work. And maybe it's that we try and highlight those people, those organizations, and get them get more people familiar with their mission and their work and how people can get involved in whatever way that may be. If it's them volunteering, if it's a financial contribution, if it's a donation, of physical goods, like any of those things. Maybe it's just, again, we turn to the people who have the experience on the ground of how to help people, and we elevate them. Maybe that's the answer.
And I think that's included in incentivizing because if people know that their business will then be put out on Front Street by the government itself, that
Hmm.
there's almost no better advertising and marketing that you, especially if it's free. So it'll
Yep.
incentivize people to do that more and follow the leads of the ones that are already doing that, as you said. And so
Yeah.
I appreciate that. Brainstorming as we go. With that said,
Yeah.
the next question is law enforcement and advocacy groups have raised concerns about human trafficking and labor exploitation, especially along the I-95 corridor. Uh,
Yep.
how would you strengthen anti-trafficking efforts along that corridor and support survivors and vulnerable immigrant communities? Because that typically is the target.
I think we need to have more. Well, one, we need to trust victims, like trust the people who are reporting these things, like the women, children, like people that are victims of these issues, that make reports. There's a lot of times that they're not investigated, like they're not trusted. So one, I think it starts with believing the victims. Um, as far as programs, or like on the federal level, the people that are involved in that, honestly, I'm not familiar with that yet. So I wrote it down so I can do some more research into um, what agencies are actively trying to address this issue. But we need, like, I don't know. I have an issue with, so okay, right now we have like the flock cameras that are tracking. They automatically scan your license plate, and it's part of this whole surveillance state that this government, well, we've kind of already been doing it, but this government is expanding. Those are currently being used to target minorities and immigrants right now, to enact the uh, cruelty that this administration seeks, or has, anyway, enjoys. It's disgusting. The like that We have that. So I'm not familiar to what extent that is being used uh, for like human trafficking and um, anything like that. But I don't know. I feel conflicted between that we have these systems in place that are constantly tracking us, and you have no privacy to your movements in this country and so many places, because we're constantly being surveilled. So I have an issue with that. But then also, like, this is a great way to track people and find people that are missing. Um, so maybe the answer is that we need to have legislation that limits the scope of, or redirects, um, these tools that we have to, target the abuses that are existing. Um, but like I said, I'm hesitant on expanding programs that are leading, like that are part of the surveillance state. So I'll have to do some more research on that. I'm not sure. Sorry, I'm not sure if I like if I was like even trying to answer your intended question, but yeah.
Yeah, I understand. It's something you're new to, so and
Yeah.
I have genuine cautions too, so it makes sense. I'm gonna just let it transfer back to Jazz so we can move to the next question. It's a lot to think about.
Yeah. I made a note, so we can have another a talk later.
Oh, you're fine. But we do have some more questions for you.
Right.
So we're going to roll into talking about environment and infrastructure. So we understand that the St. Johns River is in your district, correct? And
Yeah,
other
it's what splits CD4 and CD5.
Okay, so parts of St. Johns River and other coastal communities like Atlantic Beach and Neptune Beach experience flooding frequently after heavy rainstorms. Residents say outdated drainage systems and limited storm resilience infrastructures tend to worsen property damage and insurance costs. Could you tell me what investments or policies would you pursue to modernize stormwater systems and reduce flooding in coastal and riverfront communities?
Yeah. I mean, we need to update our infrastructure. If that's that we need to build new drainage systems, then we need to do that. I think that's the goal, or that's the responsibility of our government. Again, I'm not sure whether that's like specifically falls under state or federal, but either way, I think if our infrastructure is creating a financial burden, our degraded infrastructure in this country is leading to a financial burden on our people, then like they shouldn't be responsible for that. So if I think that if in those situations before, if it's going to be a while because infrastructure takes forever to fix, that we subsidize that cost. I just don't think that people should be. I don't believe that people should be financially responsible for the faults of our government not addressing and updating our infrastructure.
And we also understand during the last administration, there was a lot of funding that was allocated for infrastructure, but I think there will never be enough just to complete all of the issues of our infrastructure. But will you support more funding to your district regarding those particular issues that I highlighted? If there came to be another round of an infrastructure bill that gets
Yes.
introduced in the floor, would you support that?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And quickly, the from what I understand, some of those infrastructure, like some of the infrastructure funding for specific programs, and the thing I'm thinking of immediately is the electronic car charging stations. That was like funding was allocated in a lump to the state for the state itself to then figure out how best to spend those funds for that state, because every state's different and they're going to have a better idea of how to use those funds rather than the government, the federal government being like, you need to use it in this certain way. So that is kind of that's the fault of that we run into, though, is that people don't understand, or they don't know that like the money has trickled down, and the reason that they don't see or feel the effects of that is that, one, it takes forever, and two, like the state has the control. So if the state screws it up and is not using those funds or whatever, then like people just don't know that it's not the federal government, it's the state.
Okay, and as a follow up, we know that Florida has been highlighted as one of the top states where their homeowners insurance have been skyrocketing over the
Yes.
past decade, especially over the past 5 years or so. Do you feel like there should be some type of federal regulation to where it gives homeowners some type of notice without to prevent them from getting just dropped in an immediate sense? I tend to hear a lot of stories about Floridians getting their homeowners policies and their flood insurance policies dropped all of a sudden with no notice. Do you think,
Yeah.
one, there should be some type of notice before they drop them? That way it gives them more of a room to shop for more policies, and or should it also be another set of regulation where there's a cap on the policy itself, like the premiums and the cost of it? Could you expound
Yeah.
more upon that for me, please?
Yeah, I agree for both of those points. I think that there needs to be a buffer time that they notify you that you are going to be dropped from your policy, and before the policy expires, that they have to give you 6 months, however long, to find a policy. Um, I've heard multiple people talk about how they've been dropped suddenly, then they can't find a replacement. And when their mortgage company requires them to have that coverage, now their mortgage is being threatened. And they might like lose their house entirely because of something they have absolutely no control over. And they have done their job on paying their bills and keeping up with their responsibilities of being a homeowner. But they're being taken advantage of, in this system. So yes, I think we need longer time, or not even longer, because I think most don't have they just get dropped suddenly and don't have a buffer. But some sort of time in between, and then yeah, capping, like these insurance companies shouldn't be able to exploit us, because we are so limited, in our options for coverage.
Thank you for that. And one more follow up before I roll it
Mhm.
over to Greg. Um, do you also feel like there should be more of education around the state regarding environmental erosion, especially places like the Everglades? I know it doesn't cover your district, but that is one of the fire alarms that have been ringing in the state regarding the dwindling of um, the Florida Everglades. A lot of people
Yeah.
don't know it's very essential to the environment. Do you think, although I know it's not a part of your district, do you think there should be more education and notice around that as well, just for the protections of environments in the state alone? There's a lot of unique
Yes.
ecosystems in the state that people don't really appreciate. So if you could
Yeah.
expound upon that, I appreciate it.
Yeah. And absolutely. And I definitely, we need more education, about environmental practices, and conservation. I'll say a lot of people, this is something that goes beyond political parties, that people don't like, that Florida is being, uh, polluted, abused, overdeveloped, and people want to see, you know, they want to see their they want to see their state, healthy and thriving, and continue to be there in that state for their children, their grandchildren. So that is, yes, all of that. And this is one of those issues that unites the whole state. So, yeah, it's something I hear often. It's, is all the pollution, the incredible amount of upset about the pollution, and degradation of our lands. So yeah.
All right, thank you for that answer. Okay, so I will open it up for anyone who would like to ask Brittany a question. I'm sorry, Britt. I'm sorry,
It's okay.
regarding environment or infrastructure topics to expound upon, or something that we didn't cover regarding this topic. You can feel free to drop that in the chat as well. I understand that a lot of people don't have the time to come up and just physically ask a question, so feel free to drop that in the chat, and we'll pick it out and ask Brittany that question for you all. But it looks like we don't have no one in the chat, so I'll go ahead and roll it over to Greg to talk about the next topic. Greg?
Right before we actually go to bipartisanship, since nobody else had asked, I think Florida was they're proposing removing home taxes, right? Which I kind of support.
Yes.
But on the flip side, how do you think the district would be funded if statewide home taxes were removed?
It won't be. Like it's that the it's this isn't going to be something that is going to be beneficial long term. Um, Public education is going to get cut. like social programs that the state funds, they're going to get cut. Like they're not going to have enough revenue to be able to provide the services that they currently provide at levels below what they should, honestly. But yeah, I don't, I can, I understand why people would vote for this because it puts more money in your pocket right now. And people are desperate, understandably, with the cost of goods and life and just everything skyrocketing. I can absolutely understand why someone would vote for this so that they can, have something now, but it's not the answer. I don't know. I don't know what, I mean, if they put it on the ballot, obviously we'll see. But I am very concerned about what that ends up looking like because DeSantis doesn't have a great plan in place for how to match that revenue.
But just to follow up what Greg just said, in theory, if they were to take away property taxes, do you think that would push the cost of that revenue they would typically get out of property taxes onto something else to hike up the tax rate somewhere else, such as maybe grocery, or I don't know if your
Yeah.
state has some type of tourism tax or anything of that effect? Do you think that property revenue will get shifted to make it up somewhere else to in order for that tax to
There's
tax area to
been
be increased to make up for that? Yeah.
yes, there's been suggestion that it would get moved into a sales tax, which is going to be a problem because when people who, as we go down on people who make less, your money doesn't, like, it's not going to go as far. And, uh, when we compare the cost of goods to your income, that's going to be higher. It's going to be, basically the poorer people, working class and poor people, they are going to pay more to exist in this state. And that burden is going to fall on the people who already can't afford it. Yeah, it's not the solution. It's one that DeSantis is trying to create a playground for rich people, and that's his goal. Is being pro-business. He's trying to make Florida the California of East Coast, and uh, he will do anything in his power to see that happen. And that's going to be at the detriment of our working and poor and vulnerable people. I mean, anybody, basically, if you're not wealthy, then you're going to get the short stick.
Okay. And it's somewhat a segue into the next thing because it would
Yeah.
seem the only way to even mitigate that is with some form of gridlock, but a lot of voters are frustrated with gridlock. So how would you approach working with members of the other party to deliver results for District 4? And that doesn't have to be specific to just the point we were just making, but
Mm-hmm.
inclusive with that point, though.
I'm willing to have a conversation with just about anybody. And I will especially work with anybody who is willing, who wants to improve the lives of Americans. There's only so much you can. When we have, like, there are members of Congress who are just, they're fucking nuts, or they're bigots, or, these are just loony people. And those are the people that maybe we might not have like a productive conversation with. But anybody that is honest about wanting to improve the lives of their constituents and Americans in general, then like we should have a conversation. I've said this before is that we there are a lot of conversations that happen behind the scenes, like in Congress, that we don't know about. They have a lot, like right now, Republicans, a lot of them don't agree with what this administration is doing, but they are scared of retaliation to themselves and their state. And so that's why they're not acting out, or they're not resisting what this administration is doing. I don't know how to fix that problem other than we get our president out of office. And anyway, but I don't know. I don't know how you, I don't know how you like get into this position. Like you join Congress saying that you're going to work for the people, and then don't have the guts to stand up for your people. Um, I don't know. It's that, and then them, but their thing is like, well, I'm doing what's best for, I'm mitigating disaster for my state. Well, maybe you shouldn't have elected a fascist to the office. Maybe that would have been a good start.
So in that
I don't know.
interest, in
Yeah.
that interest of looking out and standing up for your people, if elected, what's one bipartisanship bill you would prioritize introducing or supporting in your first year that would work towards that goal?
I think we work on expanding healthcare access. I think the last like stats I saw was that over 70% of Americans support some sort of universal healthcare system, whether that's expanding Medicaid or an alternative. Like 70% of people are for that. Um, we need to get out of a for-profit healthcare system. It's what's keeping so many people stuck in their jobs also when we have healthcare tied to employment. Um, so if anyway, I could go on and on about healthcare, but um, healthcare is like that's my number one goal is to expand access to healthcare, at least affordable healthcare with the goal of like some form of free universal healthcare.
Okay. And just to add to the clarity to it, what does reaching across the aisle mean to you beyond just rhetoric? If anything besides what you've already stated.
Yeah, I mean, having everything starts with conversations, and so I don't know if I have anything, more than that other than, and maybe it's having more public conversations because if our representatives supposedly are having bipartisan conversations, um, but they're behind closed doors, maybe we try and encourage our representatives to be having more of these conversations in like in public on some sort of media, shifting it so that people feel a little more connected, a little more aware of what bipartisanship could look like. I don't know how that works with our political climate. And like I said, with Republicans right now scared shitless about retaliation from like for speaking out. That's something that like I don't know how to solve the issue of the Republican Party. Um, I think we continue to show up for our constituents and publicly support, like continue to throw out ideas about how we can work across the aisle and put the onus. Sorry if you can hear my dog. I have a German Shepherd. Put the onus on these representatives, and maybe that, like, we kind of put the pressure on them to have these conversations instead of shrinking away. I don't know. We're in a really hard time right now with the partisanship that we're dealing with. And it's very hard to make change when we have an entire party who is in power, who chooses, is choosing to not even have conversations. I think that's something I struggle with, is trying to figure out how, like trying to give you answers about how we can solve these problems beyond just saying, like, let's have conversations.
Well, I don't have
I
a
don't,
question
yeah,
with that, but I understand what you're saying, and do have a suggestion.
please.
If you ever end up having or being in the public eye in a way where you're having a conversation in a debate
Yeah,
forum with Republicans, to be able to hold the moral high ground, which is typical, which is higher for the left, in my opinion, as far as in public opinion. Point out some of those things and put them on the back foot and have them respond. Like they have to, if you put you in a space where you have to respond publicly, and either you have a good response that you
yep,
then have to hold to, or you're going to have to talk about it. It doesn't
yeah,
leave them too much wiggle room. And I
yeah,
think what I've noticed is that the Republicans are not also always good at governing, but they are good at keeping Democratic platforms on the back foot. Shift the weight. Shift the weight.
yeah. We've saw that. I forget her name. The representative that called out Mike Johnson, right outside the chamber. Um, I remember watching that, and I was like, oh damn, she's doing it. Like, yeah, maybe it's is yeah, putting them on their back foot and putting some pressure on them so that they're like, everybody sees what their answer is. Yeah, I agree.
And that ends my segment of questions. I'm gonna pass it back to Jazz.
Okay. All right. So we are kind of running over a little bit, but I'll just go through these a little quickly. So as I told you earlier, we had some rapid fire questions. I mentioned earlier I did the political ones with you. Now we're going to get into the fun portion. Okay. So
Yeah.
quickly, what's the most underrated Marine Corps base, snack shop, or hangout that people don't know about?
Oh God, I don't know that I can answer this, to be honest. Just I My parents divorced when I was little, and I lived with my mom. So, like, I
That's
didn't
okay.
live on military bases much until I got married, and we live on a Navy base now.
Okay. As someone influenced by Ricardo Dorado, which one would you choose, bold colors or minimalism?
Minimalism,
Okay. All right. What's the
maybe.
art piece you've made that you are most proud of?
My wedding dress. I made my
Oh.
wedding dress.
And on a beach day you would choose, which one would it be? Amelia Island, Jack's Beach, or St. Augustine?
Uh, I'd have to go with Amelia because that's the only one in my district.
Okay. And what is your must order dish at a small local restaurant in Florida for?
Hmm. I had a really good matcha. I'm a big fan of a matcha latte. So, uh,
Okay.
yeah, any matcha latte, usually that'll hook me.
Okay. And regarding hurricanes, would you suggest to prep early or prep at the last minute like everyone else does?
Oh, prep early. Please prep early. Listen to the safety professionals. If they tell you to leave, please leave if you can. Get to a safe place. Always have a go bag ready if you can.
Okay. And lastly, one item that's always in your car during campaign season.
My palm cards. I
What are
have
those?
these in just
Okay.
our like little flyer cards. Um, I've got these in every pocket of every bag I own. I got that, and then I don't have it on me right now, but I have a lanyard that I wear that has my like QR code for my link tree and all that stuff. So
Okay.
those two
Well,
are what I have.
that wraps up the fun portion of my rapid fire question. So you did pretty good. Thank you for that. All right. I'm going
Thanks.
to roll it over to Greg. Are you on mute?
Oops, my bad. Yeah, we just at a Q&A section now. So it's anybody who has a question, who hasn't asked that question. And this could be for any of the portions that you heard. If you wrote down anything, if you want to come up and ask those questions, or if you want to put them in the chat, we can ask the question for you.
Okay. Let's see if I missed anything, or we have missed any questions in the chat. Someone asked. Well, we'll get to that question towards the end, regarding how can they support you. But looks like we don't have any thus far, so we'll just go into just the closing. So, Britt, thank you for joining us today. But lastly, what is your final word or message to voters ahead of the primaries and election day?
I'm here because I believe that we need younger voices from working class backgrounds or people who understand the daily struggles that majority of Americans are dealing with, and and people that are going to fight to put our needs over as the priority before corporations and billionaires. So that's my mission. It's about making sure that my constituents, hopefully my constituents, are safe, fed, and housed. So that's my goal. See it also a little bit back here is pro people, anti exploitation, and any systems in which people are being taken advantage of. That's what we're trying to address. So yeah.
All right, thank you for that. And also, let the audience know how can they follow you, plug in all your socials, how can they contribute to your campaign, and how they can stay involved with you.
Yeah. So my website is Brit, number 4, congress.com. Brit4congress.com. My link tree should be in my bio if you follow me. And I'm Brit4Congress on all of my socials. Everything's co-linked, so just click something, one of my profiles, and everything you should be able to access all the rest of them. And you can donate, please. Any amount helps. You can also sign up to volunteer on my website. You don't need to live in District 4 or even in Florida. We're setting up ways that you can phone bank or text bank. We'll teach you how to do it. It sounds scary, but it's not. And yeah, I will take any help. I would very much appreciate it. We can absolutely flip this seat. It is flippable. So yeah, just thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, no problem. And again, as we said, thank you for coming. But before you go, we do want to invite you to our next town hall, which is in a few more hours. We'll be hosting Justin Douglas. Justin is running for Congress in Pennsylvania's 10th congressional district, so that will be held tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So hopefully you can stick around if you do have some downtime to sit back and listen to our conversation with Justin. And also, we would love to invite you to our roundtable discussion this coming Sunday. We host candidates like you and at least four more up on this panel and talk about current events and also wrapping those topic questions centered around your policies. So
Okay.
we would love to have you. Just be on the lookout for that invitation email. But again, that roundtable
Yeah.
discussion will be held this coming Sunday at 3 p.m. And as I said before, everyone, if you look at the big screen, we do have a double header, which we just covered with Brit. And so now we have Justin Douglas coming up at 8 p.m. So stick around for that and come in and have your questions ready for Justin. So once again, I want to thank Brit for being here. It has been a great discussion getting to know you and your policies and just learning about District Florida 4. We want to also give a special thanks to our vote counts for hosting this town hall. I want to thank Greg for coming up here to join me as a moderator. It has been great having you here with me as well. And also a special shout out to the participants in the live. I mean, if it wasn't for you all, we wouldn't it wouldn't be a great discussion without you, just with your questions, your intriguing thoughts. It has been very, very great. And also, last but not least, the OVC team in general. We work very diligently behind the scenes to make this event a great one. So thank you all again. And once again, our vote counts. We are a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we are building a stronger democracy. So with one informed vote at a time, please join us because your vote is your power. So until then, see you all later on tonight. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me.